But before we ask them to do that, let's come back to this claim or this very simple question of suicide, which you're confronted with. Consider consider the evidence that we have brought forth. Consider the fact that it is Southern Comfort Life Insurance's, that it is their, that the law requires that they prove that this was a case of suicide. In order, they must prove that by a preponderance of evidence. That means that they have to put forth something much greater than rumor, gossip, and speculation. That they have to put forth more than just the statistical statistical correlations brought forth by the suicidologist. That's no evidence. Let's consider what we have on the other side of the equation. Suicide. For there to be suicide, it must be voluntary and it must be intentional. This couldn't possibly be voluntary. No hunter would ever self-inflict, would ever shoot themselves in the stomach with a shotgun. It's simply inconceivable. And it's also not voluntary because of the recall notice that we've seen from Browning Arms. This wasn't the first accidental discharge of a Browning Arms 970, but hopefully it will be the last. And hopefully no one else will suffer the way that Mr. Harbour did. But that was an accidental discharge is just that, an accidental discharge. It was also not intentional. It couldn't possibly be intentional when Mr. Harbour had a blood alcohol content that was over twice the level to establish intoxication for the purposes of driving. The state thinks that, as we heard, so in summary, there was no suicide isn't even remotely possible. It wasn't voluntary, it wasn't intentional, it wasn't suicide. So we ask you now to think about these three things, to think about the gunshot wound, to think about the money, and to think about doing the right thing. And consider the evidence carefully when you go back into the jury room. Thank you for your time.